Most fighters are finished by 30. Saenchai is still here. As of this video, his last fight was in December of 2025 and he is 45 years of age. His last loss came in 2014. He's recorded somewhere in the region of a 60-fight win streak. The saying, "Be wary of an old man in a profession where men usually die young," couldn't ring any truer. In an age where young, inexperienced influencers are stepping into boxing rings and beating veteran fighters on nothing more than youth and athleticism, how is Saenchai still dismantling younger, more athletic opponents with such ease? Fundamentals. When people talk about fundamentals in Muay Thai, they often think of day one techniques. Stance, guard, basic blocks, teeps, roundhouse kicks, and that's part of it. But the fundamentals aren't just what you learn first, they're what you're left with. Imagine a fighter's game to be like a tree. The fundamentals are the roots and trunk. Stance, balance, positioning, base mechanics. That's what everything grows from. The branches are how a fighter expresses themselves. Whether they're a puncher, a kicker, a knee specialist, and all the little techniques that stem from that. The leaves are the attributes: speed, athleticism, reflexes. Every fighter reaches winter eventually. Speed fades, athleticism declines. The leaves fall. If a fighter has relied only on speed and physical gifts, there's nothing left to support them. Although there might once have been hundreds of branches and an abundance of leaves, the trunk is weak. But if the trunk is thick and strong, the tree survives the winter. That's what fighters are left with as they age. Foundations. And that is where most fighters get it wrong. They chase complexity when what they're missing is depth. There are techniques, individual movements you can learn, and then there are concepts that govern how a fighter operates. You can have perfect technique and still lose fights. Fighters with awkward or unconventional technique can often succeed through durability, toughness, determination, unusual timing, or an offbeat rhythm. These qualities aren't always taught directly. They emerge naturally, shaped by a fighter's temperament, physical attributes, and the environment they develop in. Those traits don't exist in a vacuum. They're shaped by the rhythm and structure of the sport itself. Muay Thai has a natural flow shaped by scoring and structure. Kick exchanges at range, knee exchanges in close. Understanding when those exchanges are likely to happen is just as important as the techniques used inside them. In rare cases, systems exist that consistently nurture these qualities rather than suppress them. Jocky Gym was one of those places. Twice is coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. Jocky Gym produced fighters such as Lerdilla, Silipatai, Somrak, Kauklai and Saenchai. They all fought differently. They favoured different techniques and expressed themselves in different ways. But they shared something fundamental. They were among the most skilled Muay fighters the sport has ever seen. That wasn't a coincidence. Training at Jocky Gym was old school. No state-of-the-art facility, no fancy equipment, just skills and knowledge being passed down. Because of the bare-bones nature of the gym, fighters had to adapt with the tools available. That meant a lot of sparring, often with little to no protective equipment. Not a shin pad in sight. If you went too hard, you got injured. Over time, fighters learned how to control their bodies and train at the right intensity to stay healthy. Sparring became playful rather than purely competitive. The playfulness wasn't just about ego or showing off, it was about developing skills and longevity. Fighters learned distance, balance, timing and restraint because they had to. Tactics became more important than brute strength. Years of playful sparring and hundreds of rounds from a young age develop elite pattern recognition. Saenchai often anticipates what his opponent will do next before they're consciously aware of it themselves. That ability doesn't just come from drilling combination, It comes from feeling the rhythm of a fight over time. But playfulness didn't mean a lack of competitiveness entirely. Saenchai might look relaxed, but he's ruthless when required. Watch any highlight of him dismantling opponents and it's obvious. He's a human weapon and he knows it. Gamebred is a trait most often attributed to fighting dogs, working terriers and fighting cocks. It refers to their ability to persevere in a fight even when losing. Fighters are naturally resistant people. They resist authority, circumstance and limitation. For many Thai fighters, Muay Thai wasn't a choice or a passion project, it was work. Fighting every week, sometimes more. There has to be an element of ruthless self-preservation. Climbing into a ring with another person intent on physically hurting you demands a certain constitution. Someone might appear friendly and playful, even gentle, which is quite common of the Thais, but they're still capable of violence. Environment matters. In the wrong gym, fighters are used up quickly. With the gambling scene in Thailand, fighting, after all, is a business. There's money to be made by the frequency of fights. That means they're sometimes pushed too hard, too young, with no thought for longevity. However, in the right gym, fighters learn restraint, efficiency and awareness. Saenchai developed in an environment that encouraged intelligence and creativity, without removing the competitiveness. That balance is rare, and it's a major reason he's still performing at this level decades later. The Southpaw Toolbox. As a Southpaw, Saenchai is left side dominant. Left hand, left kick, left knee. But his approach is basic in principle. Score, then nullify. The way he does that comes through three main tools. He uses feints, footwork and physical controls. The feints serve multiple purposes. They can draw reactions to create openings or cause hesitation that prevents an opponent from attacking. They're effective both offensively and defensively, and successful attacks make defensive feints far more believable. You'll often see Saenchai use hip feints to sell false jabs or punch at an opponent's hands rather than the head. This gives a false sense of distance and acts as a mechanism for distraction rather than direct damage. Saenchai uses retreating footwork to do two things: create space and set traps. Some of his best work comes off opponent's aggression. When Saenchai steps back, the opponent steps in. That's the window. He lands clean shots as they enter. On the next step, he may suddenly crash into a clinch, a body lock or a collar tie, smothering space and killing momentum. Catching an opponent mid-step leaves them physically and mentally behind. The physical control comes through the hands and the legs. With his hands, Saenchai will shove, frame or trap the guard to create angles, a simple bull and matador approach. These controls are accessible to beginners. The more demanding control comes through his legs. Saenchai's balance is exceptional. That balance is built through endless pad work, bag work, running, skipping, bouncing on tires to strengthen the calves, quads and hamstrings, alongside round after round of shadowboxing. Shadowboxing in particular forces control after missed kicks, where there's no target to stabilise you. This can also come through the playful sparring, when fighters lean back out the way and force you to recover quickly. Saenchai can use his legs like hands. He'll leave a leg posted after a teep which helps manage distance. He'll frame it against the opponent, which will disrupt their balance and keep them a literal leg's length. This level of control can only be developed from training at a young age and reinforced through the playful sparring, where pulling the strikes demands precision. That's why Saenchai often looks like he's sparring even in high-level fights. Gamesmanship. Now this isn't the same as being game. Gamesmanship is the art of winning games by using various ploys and tactics to gain a psychological advantage, and Saenchai is a master of mental warfare. This is when his cheeky playfulness enters into the fight. The Saenchai shuffle, for example, is a tool of distraction. It could be viewed as a feint, but it fits more into gamesmanship as it's almost mocking the opponent. The same can be said for the cartwheel kick. It isn't thrown out of necessity. It's Saenchai saying, I can do what I want whenever I want to do it. The subtle look changes fall into this category. A look change is a temporary alteration of stance or guard that alters the opponent's expectations. It's not about abandoning fundamentals, it's about presenting a different picture, so the opponent reacts incorrectly, late, or with the wrong defensive tools. When a fighter drops from a high guard to low hands, the actual mechanics might not change much, but the information being shown does. Saenchai will shift from a traditional stance with a high guard, bouncing his lead foot, to dropping his hands and posturing forward, inviting attacks. Saenchai gives different looks depending on the situation. A look change can give him a moment's rest, entice the opponent to attack and create a countering opportunity, or freeze them entirely and allow Saenchai to land a free shot. By constantly changing his looks, rhythm and tempo, Saenchai decides when exchanges happen and when they end. Opponents stop implementing their own game and start reacting to his. Saenchai knows how to play up to this. He can sense his opponent's emotions, when they're scared, when they're tired, when they're frustrated. Give him an inch and he'll take a mile. Saenchai's greatness isn't found in highlight reels or novelty techniques. The cartwheel kicks and playful moments are a byproduct, not the foundation. What separates him is control of distance, rhythm and timing, control of when exchanges happen and when they end. That control was built through environment as much as talent. Imagine Saenchai at 8 years old in a Dutch-style gym going glove to glove with his opponents, exchanging hand combinations into low kicks. Would he have become the same fighter? Through playful sparring that demanded balance and restraint, through endless rounds with no ring timer that sharpened pattern recognition, through an understanding that longevity in fighting isn't about domination, but it's about efficiency. When speed fades and reflex is slow, most fighters run out of answers. Saenchai didn't. He built a game that didn't rely on being faster or stronger than his opponents. He built a system that allowed him to outthink, outtime and outposition them. That's why even at an age where most fighters are long retired, Saenchai can still step in with younger, bigger, more athletic opponents and make them look like they're a step behind. It's not necessarily because he's tricking them, but because he's already there before they arrive. As always, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed this and would like extra tutorials and breakdowns, head over to the Pro Striking Patreon. The link is in the description. If you enjoy Muay Thai breakdowns, you might like this video appearing on screen now. Pro Striking appreciates you more than a 45-year-old Saenchai wasting a complete novice.
Just wondering, how is he this good?